This story is just not making sense now. As we go through this trial, more things are coming out and things are getting exposed, and we need to get into it all. If you're not familiar with who Micheal Ward is, he recently starred in Top Boy on Netflix and was on the way to become an A-list celebrity actor before this case that we're going to get into today. Micheal Ward was about to get really big acting roles, but for the past 3 years, over this case that we're going to get into, his life has pretty much been on hold. So we're going to go all the way back to January 1st, 2023. So Micheal Ward is out in a nightclub where he meets a woman for the first time at an all-white party at Affinity Lounge nightclub in East London. So a woman is in there that recognized him from TV and films, and he asked her for a Snapchat username. This is where they initially met. As the event wound down in the early morning of January 2nd, Ward suggested they go to a car, a friend's Mercedes, to talk. She allegedly told to walk behind him and not speak to anyone. Initially in the front seat, they kissed and she consented to some sexual touching. But an alleged assault occurs in the back seat where Ward allegedly became quite impatient and told her to stop wasting his time. He kissed her breast, she told him I don't want to do that, and he allegedly then committed an assault by penetration twice in the vagina and anus with fingers. She said this was not a situation that she wanted to be in, felt uncomfortable, and opened the car door to leave, and Ward allegedly told her quite sternly to close it. He allegedly said the words, "When I tell you to S my D, what do you do? Or if I tell you to do it, you do it." The woman reportedly felt pressured, was already raped. Then he allegedly raped her via vaginal penetration. The alleged victim described being numb, scared during the whole incident, and remembering wanting it to all be over. But she said she didn't really feel like she had a choice due to him being so overpowering. After this, she allegedly walked to a friend's car. Ward messaged her a teary-eyed emoji and a heart emoji, and she replied telling him to enjoy the rest of his evening. So this is where it gets interesting. If you're sending a message to someone that just done that to you, saying enjoy the rest of your evening, is a little bit concerning. But she was claiming that she hadn't really come to terms with it straight away, what happened, and was kind of in denial. She didn't even report it immediately. She didn't really understand what had happened to her because of who he is. She didn't feel like she could speak out, is what she claimed. The police interview was played in court, recorded January 13th, 2023, included her account of trying to leave and him telling her to close the door. In Ward's response, he was arrested January 18th, 2023, and in a prepared statement said, "I deny the allegation of rape. I want to put on a record that we had consensual foreplay and consensual sex." So what the woman is pretty much accusing him of is some of the stuff started off as consensual, but he took it too far to a place that she weren't comfortable with, is what she's alleging. And that becomes incredibly difficult for a prosecution to actually break down where it became unconsensual, what was said at the time, and how these events played out. Especially with the messages of her saying after, "enjoy the rest of your evening," that already puts a little bit of doubt into the victim, who could actually have been in shock at first after it happened. It could be telling the truth, but still. So in court, Micheal Ward got the best lawyers available. Obviously, this guy is a massive celebrity now in terms of the UK. He's got tons of money behind him. He got the best lawyer, and she actually did a really good job. They start off basically saying you was in a group chat with other girls and you was discussing beforehand who Micheal Ward is, Googling him, talking about going to the club because he was there. So initially you wanted to meet him and there was some sort of intention behind that. In court, constantly the victim here was just pretty much saying no comment or I don't recall that. Jurors were even told that the alleged victim got a weird vibe at the party she was at before this happened, which was mostly attended by men, and that women left a short time later after speaking to a few people. Micheal Ward's lawyer is saying, "Why didn't you leave at that time? Why did you stay? If you felt so uncomfortable, why would you then go to a car with Micheal Ward?" Obviously, we said earlier Snapchats were exchanged and she had popped up to him on Snap, initiating more steps to talking to him. So at one point she actually admits she was kind of sending messages and flirting with him a little bit after previously saying there was no flirting. At this point, a judge actually steps in and said, "At one point you said you was not flirting, now you're saying you are flirting." And this was a massive L in court. You don't want to start changing your story. Constantly when asked questions, she's saying she didn't recall stuff. And this is a case that has been dragged on with time, but there is certain things you should recall. Obviously it started in 2023, it all comes to the public eye a lot in 2025, and we're now in 2026 in a trial here. Murad on YouTube is covering this in court and said Micheal Ward had great composure throughout, but people were saying he's an actor who can turn it on and off, whereas she was uncomfortable. Apparently beforehand, Micheal Ward was telling the victim here how well he's doing, how much money he's making, how busy he is, and how well his career was going. He shortly before this had won an award and is at a big point in his career when this happened. And people are now discussing the fact just because a young girl wants to meet someone as famous and on telly and be a clout chaser around them and maybe get a snap doesn't mean they want to do things with him. But obviously many women get put in a bracket of being a groupie and they did end up going to a party after.
But does this mean that if someone, example, is clout chasing, that they can't be abused or that something can't happen to them, such as them being assaulted? Now, if she knew who he was beforehand and the fact that he was going to be at the party, is it a coincidence that her friend parked next to his car, or was it done deliberately? If you give out your Snapchat, does this mean that you like someone or that you're 100% going to entertain them, or are you going to block them when you go home? But then again, if you're assaulted by someone, will you wait around for them for 20 minutes after you claim you was assaulted? There's a lot of questions and things to unpack here, and a lot of things that don't work in the alleged victim's favour. Allegedly, she put Micheal Ward in the group chat with her friends. She was caught deleting messages, and if this is the case, what do you have to hide?
What you might be asking is, why did the woman ever go back with Micheal Ward? There's an initial party, there's some sort of after party, and there's a situation in the car, but why even go to the after party? This all comes down to apparently just wanting to use the toilet, how things unfolded from there.
But what she says is, after that interaction in the car, she feels a bit awkward. Like something doesn't feel right when she gets back to her friends, innit? And so in the car, they now say, you know what? Yeah, for real, let's abandon the after party. Let's just go back to where we come from, all right? But we need to go toilet. So let's go McDonald's, right? Go toilet from there and bounce, right? Jump on the, I can say this, jump on the A12 and get out of London. So they go McDonald's, right? McDonald's is closed. And she also mentions afterwards that the decision was, oh, let us go McDonald's to get food and go toilet and then go. She didn't mention the food first, but neither here or there. Huh? Just mentioned to you guys. Goes to get McDonald's. They won't let them in. Yeah, because later on she says that they say you can't come in. Well, obviously initially saying it was closed. I'm just saying that not to say, oh, there's inconsistency, just to give you guys information how I'm hearing it too in the different parts of the conversation. They decide, okay, cool. No toilet is available at McDonald's. Let's go to the after party to use the toilet there, which is in Stratford, right? And then from there, we're going to go home.
The one thing you don't want is inconsistencies in what you're saying. Is your intention to actually get with Micheal Ward and things unfolded and went bad, or was your intention never to get with him? But why go to a toilet that is so far away? These are one of the main stories that stood out in court as well. It doesn't really make sense in terms of just wanting to use a toilet. Maybe when people are at a party and have had a few drinks, they're not thinking clearly or not making correct decisions. But if you're sensing a weird vibe about someone or something that's happening, why would you then go to that location? There's 100 locations in between you can use a toilet, or start just making your way home and thinking about that later.
Obviously, she doesn't know London. She's not from London. But the question examiner is basically saying, but you understand where he was? Well, at least let me tell you. And this is part of the bundle. So they showed everybody, the judge, everybody, saying this is where it was. In Ganshill. And you lot decided, okay, cool, after checking where McDonald's is, seeing it's closed, you're going to go all the way, good half an hour, to the after party to go toilet and thingy. Then says to her, obviously, you know how to get home, right? You jump on the A12. So yeah, I don't know where I was, but I know I jump on the A12, just, whatever it is. Right? She's like, oh, okay, cool. But from where that is, on the A12, all the way to where you came from, there's service stations. So you could have used any of those service stations to get food, plus use the toilet, many times you wanted, and then go, why didn't you guys do it? Oh, well, I don't know. I wasn't the one driving, but it was my friend, and we just decided to go to the after party. Then she goes back to, just tell the truth. You wanted to see the man. You did. It's clear. You know what I'm saying? Like, cool. Anyway, so they go to the after party, and like you said, it's bare guys there, whatever. But it was, again, they just felt like there's something in the air. I just don't want to be here. Let's just wait here, go toilet. There was a queue, went toilet, and when they left, again, just leaving the after party, Micheal pulls up, right? And that's when he sees, rides down the window, maybe the window was right down already. Yo, where you lot going? Oh, yeah, we're about to go. No, don't go. Start talking. Let's recount to the main alleged offense.
So they also say the woman, who cannot be named for legal reasons, broke down as she told the jury she did not understand the situation she was in and that she would never got in a car with Micheal Ward if she had known. Jurors previously were told that she knew who Ward was. He was in the films and TV, and she felt flattered to have him on Snapchat. There's always going to be doubt put forward to the jurors in situations like this where there's the initial interest in the person. These cases are hard enough to prove despite actually there being a mutual attraction at the start. Moving on, it says, lawyer representing Ward told the woman what happened in the back of the car was consensual, to which she replied, no, Micheal raped me. The alleged victim became emotional as she recalled she did not use the word no and completely shut down during the encounter on 2nd January 2023. But apparently she told the Blue Story actor that she wanted to leave on multiple occasions. So she weren't directly using communication of saying no and shutting it down. She was just saying that she needs to leave right now. I don't know what exactly happened in that car or how it was said. Apparently the woman had looked upset when she got into her friend's car to go home after the alleged assault, the court heard. The friend, who cannot be named for legal reasons, told the court the woman's demeanor was off and she kept crying when asked about what happened. Because I knew something was wrong, I asked her, "Are you okay?" The friend said, "I asked her if he had raped her, and I realized how intense that was and said, 'Did he assault you?' The alleged victim ordered a kit when returning home and ticked the box that she had been sexually assaulted," the court had heard. I think this is going to be a very, very tough case for the woman now. She's been cross-examined and they poked a lot of holes in her story, discussing the phone messages she sent to Ward after the alleged assaults, which were initially not handed over to the police. So there was also a little bit of disruption and handed over the correct information here, like she had something to hide. They said basically, why didn't she hand over the messages? The woman said, "I don't know why I chose to hide that." They'd had a conversation after the alleged assault happened, and she said she felt embarrassed, adding, "I just don't really feel like I had an explanation as to why I even replied to him." So after this assault as well, this is another thing that is really damning for her in this situation. She's replied to that a message that we spoke about earlier, when really if someone done something like that to you, you should be shutting them down, even if you're in shock. If you look at the stats online, in England and Wales, about 2.6% of reported rape allegations result in a police charge or summons. Of the cases that do end up proceeding to Crown Court, around 58 to 63% see a conviction. And that's why people are saying that Micheal Ward could end up going to prison, because this one actually made it to Crown Court. But he's got the best lawyers that have cross-examined this woman perfectly, poking a lot of holes in her story. And a case like this, where you got to prove something where no one was there, a lot of it is on doubt and cross-examination. And if someone's lying and they're a proven liar on most different things and trying to hide stuff, they're gonna favor with Micheal Ward in this situation. But we'll see what happens or what else comes out in this trial.
I think that her answers of I don't recall, confusion with flirtation, confusion with 1 minute you were uncomfortable, then you were admitting that you were comfortable, then admitting that you did find him attractive, then you're giving him the location of where you're basically going to go, you admitting that you initiated contact on here, you're saying that it wasn't flirtatious initially, but then you're also admitting that you gave your Snapchat to him. Why would you do that if it wasn't flirtatious? Like, she kept on, the lawyer kept trapping her in dead ends.
It's a little bit confusing here going through what happened in that car, because when I'm reading the transcript and she said she didn't say no, she said she's got to leave. So was Micheal coming onto her slowly and she was saying she can't because she's got to go, and Michael's thinking she wants to do it but ain't got time? Or is she saying, "No, I don't want to have intercourse with you, don't touch me, get off," and this is not happening? So it's a little bit confusing about the context of the conversation and how clear she actually made it in that car that she didn't want to do anything with him. And obviously Micheal, was he aware of her not wanting to engage? You think it would be pretty obvious, but this girl also describes a lot just going numb in the situation, so it gets incredibly technical to break down. Whatever happened in that car, she felt uncomfortable at some point, so I felt empathy towards that girl for that. But can I 100% hand on heart say right now, looking at all the evidence been presented in court throughout this trial, say I think he did it? I can't, because there's been numerous occasions where it seems like she's lied about things maybe she didn't even have to lie about. It wasn't going to affect the case. Once you do that, it's going to put doubt in a jury's mind to think, if you lied about that, could you lie about other things? And that's just how it's going to work in court. And I do think that is the fair way of approaching things, because you are going to ruin Micheal Ward's life. He's going to go to prison for a long time. He's not going to have any career after it. So we need concrete evidence with no lies involved and the full story without anything changing and actually getting things right. And that's not what has happened in this court case so far. Micheal Ward is just one man of many in the public eye that's been accused of these allegations, and the trial as it stands right now is still continuing. But men have to hold themselves accountability on how women feel, and obviously women making allegations in the past, it's been proven that they was lying. So there is two sides to every story. But right now it seems like there's been so many holes poked in this one. There will be a part 2 to this on the second part of this trial, where maybe we'll find out more details from the victim here, or the alleged victim should I say. So I'll keep you guys posted as usual.